Hi, everybody. I'm going to start a new venture today, and I'm calling it Book Talk. And I'm going to read a little bit from different books that have been important to me that maybe you would like to read during this downtime. Some of them will be for adults, and some of them will be for kids, because one of the things I miss the most as a preschool teacher and nanny who now is not able to be with children is reading books to kids. So sometimes it'll be kids' books, sometimes it will be adult books. Today it's going to be an excerpt from an adult book, and it's this book right here, which is called Plan B, Further Thoughts on Faith by Lamott. She's one of my favorite authors. She writes about faith and spirituality in a very real and very messy way. And as I was reading this passage the other day, I thought about how well it applied to what we are going through right now, even though this book was written quite a bit ago, quite a few years ago, but it applies. And this is a story, it's a series of essays is what she writes, and this one is called The Ham of God. And it starts with her feeling like she's in the desert. She's feeling in a spiritual desert because of all the suffering and difficult things that are happening in the world. And she wants to help, and she doesn't know where to start. And this is where it comes in with her on a conversation over the telephone with her friend who is a Jesuit priest. And I'm starting here. I'm very confused now, but I know that in the desert you stay out of the blistering sun. You go out during the early morning and in the cool of the evening. You seek oasis, shade, safety, refreshment. There's every hue of green and gold. But I'm only pretending to think it's beautiful. I find it terribly scary. I walk on eggshells and I hold my breath. I call Tom back. He listens quietly. I ask him for good news. He says, well, my cactuses are blooming. Last week they were ugly and reptilian, and now they are bursting with red and pink blossoms. They don't bloom every year, so you have to love them while they're here. I hate cactuses, I said. I want to know what to do. Where do we even start? We start by being kind to ourselves. We breathe, we eat. Remember that God is present wherever people suffer. God's here with us when we're miserable, and God is there in Iraq. The suffering of innocent people draws God close to them. Kids hit by bombs are not abandoned by God. Well, it sure looks like they are, I said. It sure looks that way to their parents. It also looked like Christ had been abandoned on the cross. It looked like a win for the Romans, says Tom. How do we help? How do we not lose our minds? You take care of the suffering. I can't get to Iraq. There are folks who are miserable here. After we got off the phone, I ate a few birthday chocolates. Then I asked God to help me to be helpful. It was the first time that day that I felt my prayers were sent and then received, like an email. I tried to cooperate with grace, which is to say, I did not turn on the TV. I asked God to help me again. The problem with God, or at any rate, one of the top 5 most annoying things about God, is that he or she rarely answers right away. It can take days, weeks. Some people seem to understand this, that life and change take time. Chu En-lai, when asked, "What do you think of the French Revolution?" replied, "Too soon to tell." I, on the other hand, am an instant message type. It took decades for Bush to destroy the Iraqi army in 3 weeks. But I prayed, help me, and then I drove to the market in silence to buy my birthday dinner. I flirted with everyone in the store, especially the old people, and I lightened up. When the checker finished ringing up my items, she looked at my receipt and cried, "Hey, you've won a ham!" I felt blindsided by the news. I asked for help, Not a ham. This was very disturbing. What on earth was I going to do with 10 pounds of salty pink eraser? I rarely eat it. It makes you bloat. Wow, I said. The checker was so excited about giving to me that I pretended I was too. How great! A bagger was dispatched to the back of the store to fetch my ham. I stood waiting anxiously. I wanted to go home so I could start caring for suffering people, or turn on CNN. I almost suggested that the checker award the ham to the next family who paid with food stamps, but for some reason I waited. If God was giving me a ham, I'd be crazy not to receive it. Maybe it was the ham of God, who takes away the sins of the world. You gotta laugh. I waited 10 minutes for what I began to think of as that effing ham. Finally, the bag boy handed me a parcel the size of a cat. I put it with feigned cheer into my grocery cart and walked to the car, trying to figure out who might need it. I thought about chucking the parcel out the window near a field. I was so distracted that I crashed my cart smack into a slow-moving car in the parking lot. I started to apologize when I noticed that the car was a rusty wreck and that an old friend was at the wheel. We got sober together a long time ago, and each of us had a son at the same time. She has dark black skin and processed hair the color of cooled tar. She opened her window. "Hey," I said, "how are you? It's my birthday." "Happy birthday," she said, and started crying. She looked drained and pinched, and after a moment, she pointed to her gas gauge. "I don't have money for gas or food. I've never asked for help from a friend since I got sober, but I'm asking you to help me." "I've got money," I said. No, I just need gas," she said. "I've never asked someone for a handout." "It's not a handout," I told her. "It's my birthday present." I thrust a bunch of money into her hand, everything I had. Then I reached into my shopping cart and held out the ham to her, like a clown offering flowers. "Hey," I said, "do you and your kids like ham?" "We love it," she said. "We love it for every meal." She put it in the seat beside her, firmly, lovingly, as if she were about to strap it in. And then she cried some more. Later, thinking about her, I remembered the seasonal showers in the desert, how potholes in the rocks fill up with rain. When you look later, there are already frogs in the water, and brine shrimp, reproducing, like commas doing the Macarena. And it seems, but only seems, that you went from parched to overflow in the blink of an eye. And that's Anne Lamott, the Ham of God. I hope and pray that you have a day where you are able to find someone to help. There are people all around us who need a kind word or a smile, or maybe even a ham. Have a great day.